The Premier League may have returned, but the transfer rumours are still flying about, so here are 5 deals to look out for before the end of the summer transfer window. Right then, we begin with the obvious one, 𝗬𝗓𝗧𝗏 Isak to Liverpool. Very rarely has such a transfer caused so much stir late in the window because despite his agent's claims, it appears that Isak had no intention of leaving the club earlier in the summer. There wasn't even talk about it. Now here we are with limited time left, and upon hearing of Liverpool's interest in him, the Swede has had his head well and truly turned. Now, this isn't a case, like in many other transfers, of just going to play Champions League football or earning more money. It's moving to a bigger club with more chances to win trophies over the course of the next few years. I'm not saying Liverpool won't win something. They did in fact beat Liverpool in a final a couple of months ago. But given the trajectory of Liverpool right now and the summer window that they've had, Isak is of course looking to join the gravy train. So does this work? And what do Newcastle do about it? Firstly, from Liverpool's perspective, yes, it works. They need a world-class striker. Even without selling Darwin Núñez, they definitely needed one. And Isak fits the profile to a T. Quality in both the air and on the ground, with terrific all-round link-up play. He's capable of sharp movement and all types of finishes. You're always going to have to spend big money for a player like this, and even though it could and probably will break the Premier League transfer record, I think Newcastle have every right to hold out for this sort of money when selling such a special player. The fact that he has effectively gone on strike to force the issue means Newcastle will have to sell eventually, but they won't be held to ransom. From their point of view, to make this happen though, the club are reportedly wanting at least 1, if not 2 new strikers to make up for losing Isak, one of which is Brentford's 𝗬𝗏. And of course, hearing that Newcastle could be in for a big payday, Brentford have now upped their asking price for 𝗏𝗏 to around £60 million. That's 20 million more than what they were asking for earlier in the summer. This transfer clearly has many moving parts, and I'm not sure there's enough time for all parties to resolve things, especially with the focus now shifting to the fact that the football has started back up again. All I know is if this doesn't happen, there will be a seriously wasted talent training in the reserves for the next 4 months at least, till January rolls around. Next up then, an 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 Eze to Spurs. This one might even be agreed by the time this video comes out, but it all relies on another transfer. At the time of recording, Eze's deal to Spurs for around £55 million plus a few million more in add-ons is dependent on Palace signing 𝗈𝗵𝗓𝗓 from Leicester City. On the face of it, that deal taking him from the Championship back into the Premier League is a bit of a no-brainer. So once that's done, Eze becomes a Spurs player. It'll bring to an end a rather long-running saga that has seen both Arsenal and Spurs linked to the player, and for good reason. Eze's qualities are abundant and clear to see, whether it's guiding Palace to an FA Cup final victory or helping to beat Liverpool in the Community Shield final. But for Spurs, he covers a glaring gap in the squad in 2 key positions, either as the left winger or as a number 10. He actually arguably does the same for Arsenal too, but with more attacking options for Mikel Arteta's side, the last thing Eze wants to be doing, especially in the season leading up to the World Cup, is not getting regular minutes on the pitch or showing his finest form. For Spurs though, with the departure of club captain 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 Son, they are looking light on the left-hand side, and granted, Eze is a very different player to Son, this signing would bring some real balance to the team, with 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 on the right wing cutting in and using his left foot. It's the same with Eze, but the opposite side. He would also be a massive upgrade to the inexperience at the minute of either 𝗘𝗏 or 𝗈𝗏𝗏. But in the second position, and one that I think is even more important, Eze could be the perfect replacement for the injured James Maddison. His injury in pre-season looks like it could keep him out for the majority of this campaign, and instead of just plugging gaps like we saw Spurs do mid-season last time around when they had a massive injury crisis, Spurs can actually go and buy a ready-made top-level replacement in Eze. All they have to do is cough up the cash. There have been plenty of examples in years gone by of Spurs buying the, let's say, better players from a mid or low table team or an even relegation threatened team, and even though some have worked out, others haven't. Think Richarlison, Maddison, Brennan Johnson, Basuma, even Kudus himself. I'll let you decide how well you think those players have done. All of these players though won't come into the club with as much certainty around their quality and performance as with Eze. It could be the highlight of a very decent summer window for Spurs. Right then, up to number 3, and this is going to be one hell of a signing for whoever gets him, and seeing as money talks, it's likely to be Manchester City. Now, this deal does depend on the future of Ederson in goal, who has been linked with a move away for pretty much the whole summer. And if he does go, Gianluigi Donnarumma, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, argue with yourselves in the comment section down below, could be on his way to the Etihad. According to the player's agent, the Premier League is his next destination, and given the wages, it's probably the only destination. But that, on top of the fee needed and the obvious demand from him to play in a team fighting at the top of the league and Champions League, this only really leaves like 2, 3 or 4 clubs capable of signing him. Arsenal and Liverpool don't need him, Chelsea have ruled themselves out for some reason despite needing him, and Man United have no European football to offer despite the fact they usually have the money. So this leaves Manchester City as the only obvious answer. There are 2 interesting subplots to this move though. The first is the recent signing of James Trafford from Burnley, who would have moved to the club under the assumption that he'd get some serious game time in the future once Ederson leaves. But if they signed Donaruma, that could totally change things. I actually saw a tweet that said Trafford knew of City's plan to sign a new keeper next summer, so maybe it's not even true. But in the same window you've seen Donaruma join the club too. That might be a little bit frustrating. Anyways, I don't know the ins and outs of Manchester City squad control, but what I do know is that Donaruma was dropped by PSG manager Luis Enrique because he wanted a goalkeeper who was better with his feet. So why does Pep want him? Ederson's capabilities with his feet have arguably got him out of a lot of hot water when he's dropped a clanger or 2 in recent seasons, but his long balls and even his assists have been so useful for City that to sign someone who isn't so strong in that department does seem a little bit odd. Although, like I said, he's the best goalkeeper in the world and has earned that title by keeping the ball out of the net come hell or high water, so it does make sense on a base kind of level. Next up then, and it's another huge one into Liverpool in the form of Crystal Palace defender Mark Guéhi. Honestly, losing your appeal to play in the Europa League, then potentially losing 2 of your better players in Eze and Guéhi really isn't a great start for the new season for Crystal Palace. But the real reason that this one is interesting is because Liverpool don't actually need to rush in making a move because Crystal Palace need to sell or they'll lose Guéhi for a free next summer or free to a foreign club in January. I mean, they don't need to, but if they want any money for him, it'll have to be soon. And I know there's not long left in the transfer window, but maybe Liverpool know this. And the closer we get to the deadline, the more, I guess, desperate Palace will become. And rumour has it they'll accept 30 million for the 25-year-old at the minute, which is already a ridiculously good deal. Liverpool, on the other hand, do need him though. Last season they conceded 41 goals in their title victory, which is the most of any title-winning team since 2013. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, they scored way more, and it's not that important because, well, they won it. But you know what the top level of football is like. You need to constantly improve year on year in almost every position. They've sold 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗘. And with Konaté reportedly on Real Madrid's radar for next summer, with Virgil van Dijk having turned 34 in the last couple of weeks, plus new signing Giovanni Leone definitely deserving of time to bed into the Premier League and adjust to it all. He's only 18 years old, by the way. Plus, Joe Gomez being reliable, if not standing out, Guéhi feels like a great signing for them. Just when you think Liverpool's window couldn't get any better, even without Isak, by the way, this could be a great deal for them. Having made 25 million or so from the sale of Ben Doak to Bournemouth, they've pretty much made all the money they need for Guéhi, especially as selling a homegrown product like Doak means that the money is there to be spent from a PSR point of view. Last line on this, as the centre-half replacement for Crystal Palace, Brentford's Nathan Collins seems to be on his way out of the club, and Palace honestly could do no worse than bringing him across London. And finally, we have one deal that could see Manchester United eventually move on from a very poor financial investment, that of Jadon Sancho. They spent £73 million on him in 2021 and can now barely get 20 million for him, with the latest offer from Roma breaking down due to contract issues. I'm sure Sancho doesn't want his career to go to ruin over the fine print, but at what point do you not take a good deal, which Roma is, and rejuvenate yourself? Look at Scott McTominay, arguably in a similar position of not having a massive future at United last summer, and 1 year later he's a title winner and a Ballon d'Or nominee. The facts are that Sancho's 250k per week contract to United is unlikely to be matched elsewhere unless he moves to the Saudi League, so I'm not quite sure which offer in particular he's holding out for. There's persistent links to former club Dortmund, who could offer Champions League football at least, plus other teams in Europe like Roma who will have some form of European football to offer, even if it's not at the top level. I think in the last few years, the situation at Manchester United meant that there was always a way back into the squad for Sancho. It seems now, especially with the signing of 𝗕𝗫𝗄, 𝗍𝗫 and Cunha joining the club, there is no way back for these players after poor loans and poor performances. So then, let me know in the comment section down below which one of these 5 deals you think is the most likely to happen before the transfer window slams shut. And as the football is back amongst us and on our TV screens, why not pick up a copy of FourFourTwo's latest magazine, the season preview, detailing everything you need to know. Everything you need to know before you watch the rest of the Premier League campaign. I will continue with this outro because I have started. You actually get both of these magazines in the season preview. It's a very good deal, unlike some of the transfers we've seen this summer. See you later.